Welcome back. Cannondale still trying to keep the hurt on, and in fact it's working. Look at this, they've caught most of the break. And a little bit of water, please. Why not? Mr. Ludwigsen is getting thirsty. Give the man a drink. 1:08 is the gap, so I'm afraid their card is marked. Look at the wind. It's billowing all over the place. Movistar come up with a bottle. I'm sure they'll probably service the pair of them. We'll see. Just going to welcome everybody back. Just over a minute. Duo up front are clear, but what is clear today is it's going to come the day's victor from the pack. So who's going to have the explosive push to do it? Sean Kelly, who's your pick?
I think Contador.
Yeah,
why not?
It would be brilliant, wouldn't it? It'd be great for the race. Apart from anything else, I'd love to see it. I'm going to go for Froome. I'm going to go for the pair of them, mano a mano. That would be a scenario. We've seen it so far in this race. It's not beyond the realms of imagination. No disrespect to Cannondale. I think Simon Clark that's doing a great job on the front at the moment. Both. I think this is, of course, for Michael Woods. They're digging deep today, Cannondale. They know that time is ticking to find a sponsor, Sean, and they want to deliver something, even if it's just being on our screens and making us talk about them. Yes,
well, they're doing a great job today. They're the ones from the very early part of the day when the breakaway of 10 riders got away. They got to the front and they held the breakaway at to an advantage that was possible, to pull them back in the end. And we're seeing 1:05 at 25 kilometres, just a bit over to go to the end of this very difficult stage and this ramp up of 4 kilometres. They have done a really good job, and will they be able to finish it off and take the victory of the day? But whatever the outcome, I think they have shown themselves, and we've talked about them a lot. And the reason being, of course, the announcement that the team may be not in a position to continue next year because with the sponsor they were hoping to get on board. It's not happening for the moment, so at the moment they're just looking for another co-sponsor, I believe, and hopefully that will come about for them. Certainly they've done a good job today. They have flown the flag very well for the green colours here, and Cannondale's Rapback, will they be able to get the stage victory and make a really big day of it after what they've been doing all day?
Well, it'll have to be Woodsy if that's going to be the case. Simon Clark thought he had a great chance at the San Remo a few years ago, but yeah, bad luck for him, and likewise misfortune to be with a team that's got its problems at the moment. There'll be plenty of their roster that are wondering what the future holds for them, and there'll be other teams as well that are sweating it a bit, members of other teams wondering whether their places are going to come under threat once there is, if you haven't got your contract yet for next year, you may well be in trouble. As you can see, there is cloud just forming on some of the high ground here. You get that compression, and quite occasionally you get rain showers. They are expected to be heavy, and in fact electrical storms are forecast. Not for today, but for tomorrow. So fingers crossed, everybody, that the weather doesn't come early, because right now it looks like it's mustering, Sean, for a shower. It's certainly dark enough for it, but the heat is still here quite clearly.
Yes, it is definitely getting darker, and a little slight bit cooler, which will be welcomed by some of the riders, but yeah, they will be okay. I think we're going to get to the finish, 24.1 kilometers to go. It should be okay to get to the finish of today's stage without getting any wet conditions, and they'll be not looking forward to it. If they do get a little bit of a shower towards the end, it will make it much more complicated again. The roads will be very slippery here with a lot of dry weather over the past number of weeks, but I feel we're going to make it.
A lot of camper vans as well, bumping all over the place, trying to get themselves parked up, and actually just dragging a little bit of dirt and dust onto the road as well. We're not worried about descending today, although of course they'll come back off the mount. back to base a little bit later on. They're all going to be accommodated locally. Looking at the front of the race right now, it's still Mark Soler and Tobias Ludvigsen, but they've only got 52 seconds. And camera bike just on the wrong side coming into that little sequence. Need to get themselves clear of these guys sitting in behind them at the moment. 23.4 kilometers to go. The gap is coming down rather rapidly now, and I think it's because we're more or less getting a sprint approach to our final test, Sean.
Yes, well, we can see the gap is coming down all the time. 52 seconds at the moment, and the two men out front are putting up a brave battle here, considering when we went over that second category climb, it was still a long ways to the finish. It was 41.9 kilometers, and they had you know, very little hope of holding on out there, but they're still battling on, and we can see with 22 kilometers to go, just under the minute, it's a nice advantage. And the problem is this run up to the finish here is 4 kilometers, and this grading kicking up to over 20%. That's where it gets very difficult, because if you hold on to 40 seconds in advantage, it's not going to be enough on the final 4 kilometers up to this real leg breaker final climb.
So the run to the turn at the bottom of the climb, we're going to have first a real sprint going on. They're already strung out for safety reasons apart from anything else, but the clever teams that have still got some horsepower, as it were, some manpower, they're getting themselves up towards the front. And there is Team Sky now prepared to take on the duty. BMC not that too far behind. You can see Trek Sagafredo. These are all black and red, by the way, teams, so it's hard to define them sometimes. Team Katusha are also there, so there's a lot of red up towards the fore. I suppose you can factor in Bahrain Merida as well as indeed Team Cofidis. They really need to sort out the colour palettes for next year. It was black a few years ago, it's red this year. It'll be blue next year. You just wait and see. 21.6 kilometres to go. So where is that big pinch? Well, there's a couple of them actually. We've got an intermediate sprint coming up. It looks like there'll be 1 second up for grabs. I don't think Chris Froome today is going to be imposing himself for that. It's only 14 k's out, so it's reasonably close to where we are going to conclude the day. It's the Alto de Puig Lorenta, and it's an extended version of the climb that they've already taken on. We go round the outside of town here, Benitachel, and then we hit a highway which kind of lulls everyone into a false sense of security. You play with all of the road and you get a lot of opportunities for teams to move up, and then we have this pinch point when we turn onto the climb, and they go down what is it's a bit like a slip road off the main road, and it's very, very narrow. In fact, I think safely you can only really get through there with 3 wide as a maximum, or 2 wide to be safe. And so if there's 10 or 12 wide across the road in a big bunch, they've got to sort themselves out. I guess at least they're doing that now. It's still Cannondale that everyone's sitting on the back of. Notably Team Sky have had a bit of a free run, which is why I'm going for Chris Froome today. But Alberto Contador has been so sprightly and lively, and in fact just nudged ahead of Chris yesterday, that if it's those two, don't be surprised if Sean Kelly's right and Alberto Contador nudges just to the head of Chris Froome again on this climb. Froome's been beaten on it by Dumoulin last time we did it 2 years ago. He'd like to go one better this time by, Sean. He wants that stage win in the red jersey.
Yes, well, as race leader, you always like to get a stage victory, and this is an opportunity because as you get further into a 3-week tour, into the second week and the third week, breakaways are a thing which are going to be more I think opportunity to succeed, because the riders will be a long way down in general classification. So for that reason, when you're race leader, if the opportunity presents itself at all, well, then you go for it. And this one, we know Chris Froome is certainly one of the big favourites at the moment. 42 seconds of an advantage here, and he's going to if he's in a position where he feels he can have any chance of going for the stage victory, he will do that, and it will be interesting to see who can match him. That is, I think, the way it's going to be. And when we go through the intermediate sprint point, it does start to kick up a bit. It's not going to be flat all the way to this final 4 kilometre climb. It starts to drag up a bit after the intermediate point, which is 14 kilometres out, and we're starting to get ever so closer to that.
Cala Granadella. There's some lovely little old fishermen's cottages on the side of that little cove. I'm not suggesting they're cheap, but they are actually rather lovely. To rent, I mean, for a nice little weekend, or indeed longer. Nice, the weather. It's not, is it? Could change. 37 seconds only now, our breakaway. There's cloud on the mountains. They're kicking up a storm in the peloton as well. And look, everyone wants a bit of road position at the moment. It's a wide road they're playing with, but it's going to get narrow, especially when they make the turn. For the final climb. There's even wider roads, I believe, as part of the smorgasbord of asphalt that they're dealing with today. Out front, we've got our duo who are still pushing on, but it's only 32 seconds now. That's a motivated chase, and indeed they're going to call out all of these vehicles from the gap. Cameraman doing a nice little low art shot, which hasn't been called by the director, so that's one for the bank. Maybe a show reel, you see. Somebody is going to be on show today, and it's going to come from this group. The thing is, we've absolutely no idea who it's going to be, because there's still some fresh legs out there. You might think, what, after 9 days of racing? Yeah, there's riders who haven't showed their hand yet and have marshalled themselves well, I think, to get to this point, which is just before the first rest day. In Spain, the first rest day can't come soon enough. The third Grand Tour, Sean, there's a lot of tired legs out there. Freshest man of all seems to be Chris Froome at the moment.
He's looking really impressive at the moment, and has been right through this Vuelta, all the way through this first week of racing. He seems to be in real good shape, and will he be the one of the general classification men who should take the stage victory? But again, you never know. We might see a little bit of a surprise. Some of the men who are a bit further down in that classification, they might be allowed to go in the attack and take that 10 or 15 seconds advantage and hold on this final climb. As you said, Carlton, there is a lot of men here who are still feeling very good after the amount of racing. We have got, what, 1,350 kilometres almost raced in this first week, and but there's a lot of very tired men as well. And you can see in the main peloton here, we have lost a big amount of riders already, as we can see the flock of sheep trying to take on the peloton.
Yeah,
they're not fast enough.
Indeed. Yeah, it was a little stampede there. I wasn't sure whether they're sheep or goats, but I think you're right, first time by. Yeah, just I'm always a bit surprised when you see horns on sheep. But there you go. Not just the females, not just the rams, as it were. I'll shut up. 16 points.
Maybe they were all rams.
Maybe they were. Yes, I don't think so. Could be. 24 seconds then, only. Sean, this is the business end of the day, and it gets rather serious from now in. You can see the vegetation billowing here. There's storms in the locale, and just look who suddenly decided to join the party. Quick Step floors are up towards the fore as well. Bob Jungles just on the radio. When do you want us to press the go button, he says. I'm not suggesting mechanical doping, by the way. But Julian Alaphilippe, I suggested that it may well be back-to-back victories for him, Sean. And he's up here. Why not?
Well, he's a rider. When he's in the shape, and certainly yesterday, he won the stage, and he did say he wasn't feeling at his best, and if he is feeling that bit better, and of course with yesterday's victory, he get a big morale boost from that, and sometimes that really pushes the rider, motivates him that bit more. And Alaphilippe, he's capable of winning this one on this very difficult climb against the top riders we have here. We've seen in the past in the races like Flèche Wallonne, when you have a finish up Moor de Huy. There's a big hop over the sleeping policeman.
That was a bunny hop and a half. A little bit of BMX about that, and showboating for us. Tobias Ludvigsen, and ensuring he gets a place on Watts on Eurosport.
He's got something in the tank to be able to do that, to lift the bike to that rate. But yes, talking about Alaphilippe, I think we have to certainly put him in there with the big favourites, because he's been in this company before in different races, and the classics, and we also see him in stages of other races where he is a real explosive rider, and I think he could be very much in the shake-up for the stage victory today.
Let's see. 15 kilometres to go. They've got 27 seconds out front. I think Ludvigsen is just enjoying the moment at the moment. I'm not convinced that they believe they can carry this one all the way, not with so many protected riders who've still got something to offer up today. Michael Woods is there, he's got his teammates setting the pace, but he's embedded and he's going to be following the wheels of Chris Froome, TJ van Garderen, who's also up there, Alberto Contador likewise, Ilnur Zakarin, who has yet to show his hand, I think it's fair to say. He's had a couple of strong turns, but this could well be one for him today. I think for others like Wilco Kelderman, I'm lacking belief. I think Warren Barguil would have been a great choice for them, but they've sent him home. He looks to be suffering and could have done with Barguil as backup on a number of occasions. Aru is also up towards the front. Don't discount him. Romain Bardet looked lively earlier on, but I think that was the best he had to show. Froome versus Contador, I think it's going to be. We both believe that, but Esteban Chavez and maybe the Yates brothers will start to impose themselves. There's so many possibilities, Sean, and they're all within that group that are chasing this duo.
Yes, well, they're all going to be thinking of the stage victory here, and it's certainly going to be between the men back in the peloton, which is 27 seconds just back the road with 14 to go, and this is the point now. From here on in, it does start to just ease up a little bit. Nothing majorly difficult, but if some of the teams put a man on the front or a number of riders in the front, notably Team Sky, if they start to set the pace, they always set a real fast pace, and that will, stretch out this peloton big time. And
look at this Trek going for an attack here, and I think Bertie's there, and Sky just marking him out straight away, having none of this. In fact, it's on the sprint. It's for the last of the seconds that were available out there, Sean. Cheeky stuff.
Yes, we can see there. Contador did have a goal, but it looks like Koen de Korte was the one had to continue, and is that Wout Poels who just pushed on as well, so he was pushing on there, and yeah, they're not allowing poor Alberto any little advantage at all, even to take this the 1 second which was available there, pushing on for every second. We've seen that in this Vuelta. Intermediate sprints, the minor places for 1 second, they have been contested, and there again there was quite a big effort in that sprint between some of the riders from Sky and Trek Segafredo.
Well, you may remember when Chris Froome took the jersey on stage 3 into Andorra, he nicked up, he stole almost 2 seconds on the intermediate sprint. I think some people said it was 3, but I believe it was 2 that day. But anyway, that was his margin of advantage by the end of the day, and it got him the red jersey. Every second counts, and Team Sky policed that beautifully, didn't they, to stop Contador even taking one. That shows you the respect that they're offering him, because he's still 3 minutes and 10 seconds down on Chris Froome.
Yes, and more so now because he's pushed to a much further down time-wise in general classification, but still. They're contesting there. Of course, Chris Froome, we did not see him really going for it, but again, teammates, not allowing Contador to take any little bit of time gain at all there. And we can see the 2 riders out in front here. The road here, you can see it's very, very shiny, and lucky that the rain conditions are holding off, because if you had rain, a shower here, you can imagine how slidey and slippery it would be on those roads.
Yeah, it would. The shine really is diesel particulates that have been polished by the car tyres, and most of the cars here are in fact diesel. So they lay down their particulates, and when the rain comes, it gets very, very sketchy indeed. And thank heaven these roundabouts are being taken in the dry. They'll probably be wet fairly soon by the looks of the weather at the moment. But Soler and Ludvigsen have re-extended their gap. They're back out beyond the half-a-minute mark at the moment. Still being brave, but 11.7 from home, and we're not even on the climb just yet. These are some of those little pinch points that we're telling you about. These transitions you want to take in a single file if you possibly can. It's probably explaining the gap extension at the moment, this little technical run that we've got right now. They're doing a fantastic job, you know, Cannondale today of braving it out just behind a line of Skyriders. They're trying to lock it out, as you can see, but also getting very, very animated and coming through. Chavez is back in his Orica Scott jersey, by the way, and he's right there too, just rocking and rolling at the moment with, I believe, Adam. Yeah, he's got decent backup, to say the least. And in fact, you may well see him just a little bit further behind, not within view at the moment, but I expect him to be up towards the fore late on. Open-mouthed, Cannondale. When are they going to release Woodsy? We'll see. Two Brits there with the Union Jack, almost looking apologetic, Sean.
I was looking at the two riders, actually. We could see there, I did not see that, but I see Max Soler there. He made a little bit of move to the left, and we could see Ludvigsson, who was just had to correct it and looked to get very close to the rear wheel of Max Soler. But you can see at 32 seconds they're still holding off quite well. But of course we have only the two riders from Cannondale Drapac, and that is of course we can see Simon Clark and then Joe Dobursky, who is pushing on there. So they're the only two for a long time now from the Cannondale team who have been on the front of affairs, and it's not surprising that the advantage is starting to grow out a little bit. 35 seconds with 10.5 to go. Imagine if they had 10-12 minutes when they went through the finish area, which was around the 40 kilometers to go, I think it was, and that would be a real good scenario for them. But unfortunately they had never anything to the in that region of an advantage on today's stage.
Don't bother looking for coves, it's all very rocky. Good fishing, by the way. There's a lot of spear fishing around here. Not for fun, for food. These guys at the moment just nibbling into the remainder of the day. There it is, just 10 Ks. They're arguing, Sean, as to work rate, and that's never a good sign. Look at this though. This is where surely your win is going to come from. Strange things have happened though. We've seen breaks almost be gathered in and then them push on. Mashinsky and Polyansky on stage 6. This is a different kettle of fish though, isn't it, this kind of finish?
Yes, well, we can see our two riders up in front that they are talking to each other, but the question is, what are they talking about? Maybe they were saying, one saying to the other, well, what do you think? Have we any chance of making it? And it goes on like that, and they're probably thinking as well, as I mentioned just moments ago, if they had been allowed that big advantage, they're the ones of the breakaway, of the 10-man breakaway of the day. They are definitely, being the two strongest men, and you're going to be thinking of that. Well, it would have been an opportunity for both of them to battle it out for stage victory, but they know in their heart and soul for a long time that it's not going to it wasn't going to happen. It's not going to happen now, and they're just going through the motions here, riding together, and just carrying on as long as possible and get as much as they can for their sponsors out of the day.
That wasn't a comment on the proximity of the camera bike there from Tobias Ludvigsson, by the way. Clearing the passages for the brutal ascent that is to come. Everyone knows about it, and that's why the pace remains high. It's been a very quick day, Sean.
Yes, it has been a quick one, and the reason being the peloton, never allowed the breakaway to have the advantage they would have liked to, and breakaway has been pushing on at a strong pace, but the peloton also have been doing that, and for that reason, we've quite a fast pace once again today. It's bike racing. Some days a break gets away, 10 men, everybody long ways down in general classification, and they would be allowed to take 8, 10, 12 minutes very quickly. Then the peloton would start setting a pace and the break would settle out front, and of course that slows down everything. So the average for the day drops off a lot, but today it hasn't been the case. It has been pushing along at quite a strong pace all day, and for that reason we're going to get through the day at quite a strong average for today's stage once again, as it has been in a lot of those stages in this first week of this Vuelta.
Still counting down, 8.2 Ks, half a minute. You saw that the golden helmets of Bahrain Merida are coming up to the fore on behalf of Vincenzo Nibali. United Arab Emirates as well, working for Louis Meintjes and Rui Costa. A team as well that really need to make a good account of themselves, especially as the troubles that they've had, our team Sunweb, and they're also mustering up towards the